you know, it's based on everything. Just because you apply, it's not an automatic in. We'll review them afterwards to make sure that everything makes sense and it's a good match. And at that point, does anyone have any questions right now on just what we've seen so far? Okay, I don't see any, so I'm going to keep moving. What happens, okay, so the application deadline's next week, and after that, the next steps are, we're going to go ahead and have, we're going to contact applicants that meet the criteria. Basically, if you answered, like on the application, if you said you weren't in the city limits and whatever else, that's the end of your application. So, but for those who are, we'll contact them. We're going to schedule times in early February or late January to come out and see your coop, and see your grounds, and just kind of look at how things are. We have a checklist that we'll look through to kind of make notes so that we can compare later. And then applicants will know whether they're on the tour or not no later than early March of 2010. Another place for questions. Okay.
Are there any specific things that you're looking for? Type of yard, location, anything besides just the coop?
The question was, are we looking for anything besides the coop? We're looking for the other criteria listed that we just finished, that you're in the city limits, of course. But, I mean, if it's a safe coop from predators, it doesn't have to be funky. Some people have been concerned that they say it's a funky chicken coop tour, and they say, well, mine's just, you know, a safe coop. But it really, that's just the name of the tour. We want to celebrate, you know, and showcase all kinds of coops in all shapes and sizes. Funky, straightforward. So no, nothing in particular. All right. The owner guidelines, we kind of went over most of this. The only thing I see in there is maybe homeowners insurance will be, I think, important. If you're going to have people on your personal property and you're inviting them there, that's going to be something we're going to be interested in knowing. The other stuff, it looks like, you know, this is more about the day of the tour, and we'll be sending these out to people who are on it. Another thing to consider is just on the day of the tour, you're going to want to maybe prepare snacks and lunches and so forth in advance. I've heard of last year feedback from the coop owners who were on there who just didn't even get to hardly go in and take a 2-minute break because it was just non-stop traffic. People arrived early before the coop was officially starting, and they stayed through, you know, a little after. So another thing here mentioned, only in compliance with city ordinances, you're not supposed to have your chickens running around, but we recommend that you take some consideration of sanitation for bird protection, and we'll go into that more, you know, for the people who are interested on the coop tour, but just something to keep in mind. Let's see if there's anything else. Yeah, we already talked about make sure your neighbors know. Be a good neighbor. Yes, sir. Or ma'am. Handicap access, in what way? Is it mandatory, do you mean? Oh, it is not mandatory. I mean, we're going to go out there. If we see what we need is a safe environment, it would be nice to have handicap access, and maybe on the map we can have something, if there is something to indicate that potentially. But the bigger thing is safety. If I'm missing a question out there, just yell it out. I don't see hands, but I could be missing them. Okay. On the day of the tour, we'll have coop signs. Mobile Chicken Coops is one of our sponsors, so Josh, and he has nice signs that will be able to be put in the yard. That was feedback we got from both visitors and participants last year, that it would have been nice to be able to mark the yards a little better. So there'll be yard signs. And that's pretty much it. Okay. Like I said, yell out if there's a question, because I can't see so well.
Yeah, if you're on the tour, is there a chance to be able to see other coops on the tour since you'll be hosting your own?
We're all giggling because last year we will be glad to we'll have an information sheet where we will let the coop owners this year coordinate that. You don't know how much time, blood, sweat, and tears went into that, and it wasn't so successful. So I can understand, but we will let the coop owners among themselves decide if they want to arrange seeing each other's. Let me go back. Okay, so docents, just so you know, because we mentioned docents, which are your helpers, you might be wondering, what do they do? and they greet the visitors, direct them to the coop, keep track of visitors coming. We just want a general head count of who's coming because that helps us know and plan. Direct traffic if that's needed, help, visitors follow the visitor guidelines. When you see little Timmy running, out and trying to run into the house, block little Timmy from doing that. Relaying information that day of the tour. If something's going on, there needs to be a good line of communication. Just general stuff like it says here. Give the coop owner a break of when they need one, and then whatever else is needed. So that's the kind of things the helpers are doing. Any questions on that? Okay. The visitor guidelines. So for the visitors, if you're just planning to go to the tour, just keep in mind, please don't bring any animals with you. Don't taunt the animals that are on the property. You're coming to someone's house. Restroom, please plan ahead. Restrooms aren't going to be available at the coop locations. These are people's residences. Make sure you're, when you park, you're not blocking a neighbor's driveway or other parking in undesignated areas. Don't chase, taunt, feed the animals, and please keep an eye on your children. And that's it's just basically common sense guidelines, I think. And any questions on that? No? Okay. Well, that went quick. Okay. So that's pretty much the presentation here. We can have the light. Does anyone have any questions for any of the coop owners here, or any other feedback? Yes, ma'am. Of the meetup? This is in-person. This is the meetup group. This is the Austin Backyard Poultry Meetup, and it meets the third Saturday of every month. But are there questions about the coop tour itself? We have members here, and they can give you their personal experiences if they're willing. Okay. We have a question in the back? Yes, sir.
Just any problems that you experienced that you want to talk about as individuals.
Did you have any problems you experienced, or what would you do differently, I guess, or what did you experience last year that you had changed?
I would have had some sandwiches sitting in the fridge ready to go because we had visitors pretty much constantly through the duration of the tour. And my poor husband loves to talk about his chicken coop, and I had to basically rush in, make a sandwich, rush it out to him, and hand it to him and say, "Eat this!" So, snacks for you. The other thing is I think I would have rather had a few more people there to kind of greet people and chat with them a little bit, because I think there were people who came and had questions and never really got a chance to ask them. So some of my neighborhood teenagers were going to come by and help out, but they sort of wandered off. And so reliable docents are a good idea. If it was just me by myself, I'd want at least 2 people to greet people and point them towards the coop and answer sort of basic questions and stuff like that. It's a lot of fun, by the way, but it is a busy day, and by the end of the day, you might also have a cold beer waiting for you. Just saying. And if you feel like putting up an FAQ of the questions that you think everybody's going to ask, in our case, people were saying, "So how did you come to build this coop?" And we would say, "Well, it's all the leftover building materials from building our house." And very often, there was a series of questions that kind of came from that, and having an FAQ for that would have been helpful.
Just to follow up on what Julie was saying there, we're going to have an information center set up this year. So because the coop owners, everyone wants to see all the coops, but they're not going to probably get to answer in depth everyone's questions if they want to know about how to raise chickens and so forth. So we'll at least have one information center set up. We're working out the details where, maybe some vendors will be, or just some volunteers to answer general questions and get some of that going.